Alright everyone, welcome back. Hey, I said what we're going to do in this video was going to control the rate of fire of our bullet. And I decided to do that as a separate video. I think you can do it. I think you would know what to do, but I kind of wanted to show off another aspect of object-oriented programming, especially now that we're, got inheritance, it's called, where we're extending a superclass and we've created a subclass. I wanted to show that, again, the game objects is our foundation, and we inherit all those variables. But just like a house is built on a foundation, we can build additional things on top of that foundation. So what we can do is we can add another instance variable or a whole set of instance variables. It doesn't replace the ones we're getting from game object, it just adds them on in addition, right? Just like a foundation, you build on top of it. You know what I'm saying with this metaphor? I hope it makes sense. So we're gonna get started with the rate of fire. And so what I want to do is have sort of a couple of numbers that I'm gonna build into my starfighter. And then maybe later we'll change this up, but I think it's a good place to begin. So what I'd like to do is make a what is this? A cooldown? It's kind of a cooldown, right? That's what you call it in video games. I need to play more video games. So I guess it could be an int, to be honest. So there's like a cooldown and a threshold. So the cooldown is sort of like, if it takes like a cooldown timer. So like if it takes 60 frames before you can shoot again, the 60 frames would be the threshold at which you can start shooting, and the cooldown is like how many frames has it been since I last was able to shoot. So that's sort of the difference between those variables. Cooldown, it's ticking up, and once it gets to the threshold, I can shoot. It could be ticking down too, like you could do it in different ways. I'll let you decide if it goes up or down. I'll just make mine go up and down. So these variables I can set in my constructor. I'm not going to put them in the superclass because not everything has a cooldown and a threshold. Just the starfighter at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll initialize these variables. Cooldown. It depends. Do you want to be able to shoot right at the beginning? Then make it equal to threshold. Or do you want to not be able to shoot at the very beginning? I guess I kind of want to be able to shoot at the beginning. So I'll set threshold first. So threshold, whatever number you want. I'll put in 30 frames, half a second. And then I'll set cooldown to threshold. So I'll be ready to shoot. In the act function, in addition to super.act for the movement code, I will do my movement code, and that's all lovely. But I think, I'll start organizing this a bit better. This is all for controlling the starfighter. And then I'll also have managing guns code here. So the managing guns basically is going to be cooldown plus plus. So every frame cooldown is just going to increase by 1. That's what's happening here. And then I can shoot if I'm pressing the space key and if cooldown has at least reached the threshold. So I'm going to make this if statement a little bit more complicated. Maybe I'll, I don't know if I should move this out of the place. Maybe I'll organize this a bit better. I'll put this up here. I think that'll be nice to be able to shoot and cool down at the same time. So if space key is pressed and cooldown is greater or equal to threshold, then I can add the bullet. There's another thing I have to do though, and that is I have to reset cooldown back to 0 so that the countdown can begin again. So basically, I'm ticking up all the time, always increasing. And as long as that number is bigger or equal to the threshold, I can shoot. But then the moment I shoot, I reset it back to 0. So it's got to build back up to the threshold before I can shoot again. So this should produce a nice little effect where I get that little pew pew coming off. So now it's every twice a second I can fire, roughly speaking. If just to demonstrate, say I made the threshold 60. Then I would take, twice as long to shoot. I only can shoot, every frame every second, once every second. So yeah, you go. So that's it. And the reason I think you could have figured that out based on previous things we've done, but I wanted to show you, hey, you can add things on top of our foundation. So that was a fun thing to get to do with you. One last thing, I'll just mention this. I feel like maybe I've mentioned this before, but just a reminder that if we change the game object, those will propagate to all of our classes. If we change the foundation, it'll auto update everywhere. So that's also a really handy thing. So I don't actually have a particular thing I want to change, I don't think. Yeah, not really. But I think we're good with that. So in the future, I'll try and highlight that aspect. Okay, get a little off topic, so I'll let you get going. Our next video is going to be about enemies. We need to be able to blast the enemies out of the sky. So that's going to be really fun. I think we'll really feel like we got a game at that point. It won't be a challenging game. We're just gonna have targets that are flying down the screen, and we'll pop them. And we'll do collisions. We'll do a bunch of fun stuff. So that's going to be in the next video, all about bad guys. Okay, thanks so much, everyone.